We do begin at this hour with the breaking news. Former President Donald Trump has been indicted by a federal grand jury in connection with his handling of classified documents after he left the White House. The former president acknowledging the news himself on social media, saying he and his lawyers have been informed that the former president has been indicted. Donald Trump has been told to be in Florida on Tuesday to appear in federal court at 3 p.m. It is an historic development. The first time a former president has been indicted on federal criminal charges. Our investigative team reporting the former president will face at least 7 charges. We are told the range of those charges includes obstruction, willful retention of documents related to our national security, false statements, conspiracy. Again, our investigative team learning that's the range of charges. The exact charges we are still waiting to hear from the special counsel. Our team standing by here tonight, and we start with the history made this evening, the weight, the significance of these charges, and what this could mean in the race for president. ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas leading us off.
Tonight, a federal grand jury has voted to indict Donald Trump in the special counsel's investigation into his handling of classified documents. Prosecutors telling the former president he will be arraigned in Miami on Tuesday. And sources telling ABC News Trump is facing multiple counts, ranging from illegal retention of government documents to conspiracy to obstruction of the government's efforts to retrieve those documents. The indictment marks the first time an American president has faced federal charges. Tonight, Trump reacting on his social media site saying he never thought it possible that such a thing could happen, calling it a dark day. The former president insisting all along he's done nothing wrong.
All I know is this: everything I did was right. We have the Presidential Records Act, which I abided by 100%.
After leaving the White House, Trump spent months haggling with the National Archives over whether he had in fact returned all government records as required by law. The Justice Department then obtaining a court-ordered subpoena. But when the FBI learned Trump still had sensitive records, despite his team's insistence that they had turned everything over, agents raided his home at Mar-a-Lago, seizing more than 100 classified documents.
The shameful raid and break-in of my home, Mar-a-Lago, was a travesty of justice.
Trump has argued that he declassified any material that he took from the White House.
If you're the president of the United States, you can declassify just by saying it's declassified, even by thinking about it.
But Trump's attorneys have offered no specific evidence in court that records were declassified. And prosecutors clearly believe they have evidence that proves otherwise, including Donald Trump on tape allegedly admitting he held on to sensitive material.
And so let's get right to Pierre Thomas live in our Washington bureau tonight. And Pierre, you and I were on the air together when this broke earlier this evening. There were questions in the legal world about whether there would be what's called a speaking indictment from the special counsel, Jack Smith, essentially laying out in great detail, in narrative form, what he discovered, why he believes, the special counsel believes, that this evidence warrants these very serious charges, to try to explain this to the American people. And you've learned tonight that that's exactly what the special counsel plans to do?
David, I've been told to expect a speaking indictment that will lay out chapter and verse the government's case. The special counsel knows the American public will need transparency given the historic nature of these charges and the fact that we have such a divided nation. David?
Pierre Thomas leading us off on what is history in the making here. Pierre, thank you. I want to get right to ABC News investigative reporter Catherine Faulders, who was first with the range of charges when we came on the air earlier tonight. Catherine, you reported at least 7 charges. And again, give us the range here of what the former president is going to face here.
That's right, David. I'm told these charges include the willful retention of national defense information, conspiracy to obstruct justice, concealing a document in a federal investigation, and false statements. But key here, that key charge, is the willful retention of national defense information. That's under the Espionage Act. That's what the government uses to go after individuals they believe have caused harm to America's national security. David?
And again, the people at home are watching the range there on their screen right there, and we await a word on what the exact counts will be in the hours and days ahead. Catherine, thank you for that reporting tonight. I want to bring in ABC's John Zantucci, also on the investigative team here. John, you covered the Trump administration. You've also been in touch with sources close to Donald Trump tonight, with him at Bedminster in New Jersey. When they learned the news?
They have been huddled for the last couple hours, David. They knew this was coming. I am told the former president is determined, ready to head to Florida to face those charges. And David, even though Donald Trump has written on social media he never thought this was possible, I am told, David, the former president and his advisors were waiting anxiously. They believed any minute this was coming.
John Santucci, our thanks to you as well. I want to bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams, tonight. Dan, 2 questions for our viewers at home, because we haven't heard from Jack Smith yet at all here, really. Very few leaks from the special counsel. But given the range of charges we just heard there from Catherine, and of course we're being very careful here because we don't have the exact counts, but the range here, what does it say about what Jack Smith believes he has uncovered? Because, of course, he knows the stakes, too, the history made here in charging a former president.
Yeah, it means that not only does he believe that the former president retained classified documents illegally, not only does he believe that the former president obstructed in the efforts to get them back, but that the documents themselves were very sensitive. They were important. That's where the willful retention of the national defense information charge becomes so significant, because it tells us that.
And Dan, the venue here, is there any relief in Bedminster tonight, any relief for Donald Trump that this would appear that it will be playing out in a federal court in Florida?
Certainly better for him in Florida. Better possible judges, better possible jurors. No question, if he's given a choice, he'd much rather have it in Florida than in Washington, D.C.
All right, Dan Abrams, our chief legal analyst, with us here tonight. Dan, thank you. ABC senior investigative reporter Aaron Katersky is in Florida tonight. He's in Miami, where this will play out next Tuesday, with the country watching. And Aaron, you reported here in New York when we saw the indictment play out in Manhattan in the hush money case. But you don't need me to tell you, this is very different. These are federal criminal charges. The stakes are far higher. And what will the viewers, what will the country witness early next week when the former president reports to federal court in Florida?
David, when former President Trump arrives here at U.S. District Court downtown Miami Tuesday afternoon, he will be placed under arrest by the very government that he was once elected to lead. Then he will be booked and processed like any other federal defendant. He'll have to appear before a federal magistrate to enter a plea to the charges based on how he's reacted on social media tonight. We expect that would be a not guilty plea. The courthouse here is stepping up security, taking no chances, David.
Stepping up security already tonight. Aaron Katersky in Florida, where we will see the president next Tuesday reporting to federal court. Aaron, thank you. One more beat on this tonight. ABC's Rachel Scott is in Iowa. She's covering the race for president already. Just this week, Rachel, you have former Vice President Mike Pence jumping in, running, saying that his former boss, Donald Trump, should never be president again. But he also said he believes that the president should not be indicted. And then you have Chris Christie, sort of at the other end of the Republican spectrum here so far in this primary, jumping in this week, signaling he's ready to take on Trump by name. Obviously a former federal prosecutor in Chris Christie, but even he tonight is saying, I want to see these charges first.
Yes, and as a former federal prosecutor, Chris Christie knows how high the stakes are. I just spoke with him moments ago. He wants to read the details of this indictment, but he says that if Trump did commit a crime, then he should be charged. Other candidates walking a very fine line. A few hours ago, I pressed Vice President Mike Pence on this. He told me while he does believe there needs to be new leadership in the Republican Party, he believes that an indictment would further divide the country. There are 12 Republican candidates in the race right now, and only one, former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, is calling on Trump to step aside because of these criminal investigations, David.
All eyes on the Republican candidates in this race as well tonight. Rachel Scott, our thanks to you. Thanks to Rachel, Dan Abrams, John Santucci, Catherine Falders, Pierre Thomas, who let us off, and of course the entire team on with us for our special report. Thank you for reporting it out so carefully tonight.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.